Hey y'all, how we doing today? It's Assassin Master Woods here, coming to you with my first video on the channel. So today we're going to talk about I'm sure you guys have heard the upcoming Assassin's Creed Hexe project. So they're saying that's going to be set in the Holy Roman Empire in the 16th century. We don't know if that's early to mid 16th century or that's the later 16th century. If it's the first one though, then there are rumors that there may be an Ezio period. So I'm pretty excited about that. A little bit about my channel before we get started. So if you read the description, it'll give you guys an extremely vague idea of what this space is going to be about. But to boil it down into two things, I would say it has to be gaming and politics, or sort of just contemporary events. Anyways, I'll probably do a gaming video and then like a politically or internationally focused one and then just a back and forth basis. So that's just my heads up to you guys. Anyways, let's get into the video. So, little background, Assassin's Creed. It's always been one of my favorite gaming franchises. I actually started out with the first game right around like 11 or 12, the regular age range of boys where most boys my age would start playing the sort of mature rated video games, 17 plus score and all that. And I instantly fell in love with the franchise, and I was always super into history and politics growing up, like in the classroom environment. So, I mean, go figure, I'd fall in love with it. And mostly, I love all the games, most specifically from 1 to Unity slash Rogue. Even though the latter, both of those games had their problems. I didn't even play Syndicate after that, and I fell off for a while. I skipped Syndicate and all the RPGs, but I recently actually just got all three RPG games for $30, and I knew that was kind of a bargain when you take into account how big those games are. So I started Origins, and I'll eventually get a review retrospective out to you guys with that. I haven't decided if I'm going to judge them just as regular games yet, or as like specifically Assassin's Creed games. I know that's like a really big debate among the community, but I'll let you guys know once that video comes out. And so my first thing on the wish list for Hexe would have to be the incorporation of badass historical figures and events. So I think we all know by now that, as I said before, Hexe is going to take place in the late Middle Ages in the 16th century, which I absolutely love as a setting, and I really hope they don't mess it up. And we know they're going to focus on the witch trials more specifically. And to me, that seems like a step in the right direction as it seems they're taking a real advantage of the historical setting this time around. But if we look back in the series, we could see an example like AC3. I personally was a little disappointed because we missed the likes of a lot of historical figures like Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Paine, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams. And it's true we got other good figures like Israel Putnam and Samuel Adams, but it seems like they could have had more. So in Hexe, we need to see figures like Martin Luther, and I don't even see a scenario in which they don't have Martin Luther in this game. He was so pivotal to the time period and all that. Another one could be Thomas Munzer, who was a revolutionary theologian involved in the Peasants' War. Charles V, Ulrich von Hutten, and of course John Calvin. He's also really big, like Martin Luther during this age. And remember, the witch trials weren't even the only thing going on in the HRE, the Holy Roman Empire at the time. They were dealing with peasant revolts, the witch trials, and a total shaking up of the power structure that was due to the Reformation happening. And we can include historical figures from all of those elements. And so my second point could be a little controversial, but I'm one of those people who believes a modern day story is totally essential to the series. Part of the reason I fell in love with the 1 through 5 games, or 1 through 5, 1 through 3, but that is the first 5 games, is because of the Desmond story. And, each one kept progressing it, and we were kind of let down with the ending at the end of AC3. But irregardless, the modern stories that we got after that were pretty horrendous. And I know this sort of changes in the later RPG games, and they have sort of a story going. But I want to be doing things in the modern day that help stop the end of the world or whatever the Isu were preparing for. And I do think the Isu artifacts are a big part of the series. And well, basically, modern day shouldn't be walking around Abstergo like with just a computer in our hand, like in 4. I mean, we could do things like try to find a long lost sage or steal his DNA from Abstergo or any of that stuff, really. So for my third point, um, I think this was confirmed for the game already that it's going to be a little more linear, but I didn't want it to be an RPG game as my third point. I think it would be best for more of a linear story, something akin to AC3 or AC4, and having maybe 3 or 4 really big, detailed, sprawling cities, and maybe like a kingdom or a mountains area that allows us to transverse between them, like in AC2 and 3. And I know right now it's rumored to be Nuremberg or Bamberg, and I'm really excited for them to really take use of the Gothic urban architecture and really lean into the darkness of the witch trial period. I think the setting also lends itself perfectly to the parkour system, and I think it would be perfect if they incorporated an AC3 slash AC4 like parkour system where it was still flashy and simple, but it didn't really eliminate all player control. So for my fourth point, I'm pretty sure many of you are already aware of the fact that the developers are claiming that the protagonist will have some sort of mystic powers. Well, that's something I definitely didn't want on my wish list, but if that's already set in stone and they're going this route, then I sincerely hope that it's grounded in some sort of reality, such as we gain these powers from an interaction our player character may have had with a piece of Eden, or at least it's not more outrageous than Connor's animal powers from the AC3 DLC. So I hope these powers are extremely grounded or they're only accessible to a player at certain times during gameplay. And so my last and final point, I think this is a great opportunity to utilize memory corridors after assassinations once again. I mean, think about it. All imagine all these different factions vying for control throughout the HRE, and maybe Charles V or the Catholics are persecuting any political or religious dissidents under the guise of being witches, but perhaps the Lutherans have a piece of Eden, but they're being put on trial, so maybe they're forced to side with the Calvinists, but oh, they have a piece of Eden, and you can't allow them to consolidate full power of not just Germany, but of Europe, so you have to politically maneuver your way through the courts of various German princes, and eventually of Charles V to steal his piece of Eden, and it leaves a power vacuum that the most bloodthirsty inquisitor filled, but he was just allowing you to dispatch his competition, sort of like a Game of Thrones sort of plot line like that. And then, each sort of assassination target could have that confession and lead you to the next target in the memory corridors. Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. That was just my wish list for the upcoming Assassin's Creed Hexe. And thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'll be uploading more content soon. Let me know what you guys would like to see.